Today I'm going to be watching this video. It's called The Cost of Living in Australia, Food and Grocery Prices. So yeah, I thought this would be interesting because at the moment, of course, the cost of living is increasing in every country, in the UK, US, every country. Australia, I've heard stories and read articles of high cost of living increases, the prices in supermarkets and things increasing quite a bit, and life becoming quite unaffordable for a lot of people struggling to get by. Tell me if that's the case for you. How have you found the last couple of years post-COVID with high inflation and the cost of living generally increasing? Tell me if you felt that. Let's watch this one.
Oh, hi there. Do you want to know what's the price of this or this or this in Australia? Keep watching to find out. Many people keep asking me, what's the price of food in Australia? How much do you spend per week? Is Australia expensive? There are so many questions, but I have an answer for you.
Also this will be quite interesting for me just to see inside a Australian supermarket. I've not lived in the UK for about 13 years now. I've lived in Malaysia for the last, I think it's 8 or 9 years now. So supermarkets here are just not that great, to be honest. The produce isn't great. You either get cheap supermarkets or expensive ones that has all the imported stuff. The cheap ones have all the local stuff, and either you're paying a lot of money for just decent quality stuff, or you're paying cheap for just stuff that's just nonsense. But when you see even just something simple like this, like a very nice, well-kept, large fruit and veg section, that actually, free fruit for kids. You see that? Is that something that's common in Australia? I've never seen that before. That's fantastic. That you definitely never get that here in Malaysia. Free fruit for kids. Oh, this one. I mean, a lot of special offers, price dropped. When it showed you that aisle before, there was a lot of these little yellow things which I guess are like reductions in prices. Maybe some of these supermarkets, this Woolworths, I guess some of these supermarkets are trying to get people to save money, or trying to help people save money maybe. I mean, you will see it all here. I mean, even something like that, you might take it for granted just to have so much choice of just sauces. I could spend some time just enjoying this variety, man. This thing, look at the amount of mayonnaise here, man. That is just not what you get here in Malaysia. I feel like I want to just walk about here and buy stuff, man. Fully stocked aisles as well. So yeah, it looks very good. Again, it really puts a lot of supermarkets here in Malaysia to shame. Just so modern, clean. I don't know, maybe in Australia you might just think this is not the best or what, but I think in Australia, Woolworths and Coles, I believe, is the other popular supermarket. Tell me which one's better for any reason.
Okay, so here's my answer. First, let's start with where to shop. The major Australian supermarkets are Woolworths or Woolies, Coles, Aldi and IGA. But Coles and Woolworths are the biggest ones. You will always find a Coles or a Woolies in any Australian suburb, at least in the major cities. Of course, apart from supermarkets, there are other grocery stores where you can go to, such as farmers markets, where you can get more organic food, organic vegetables and more artisan kind of products. The only thing with these markets is that they're not as accessible as supermarkets. However, once you're here, I highly recommend checking them out because they're a great way to support smaller farmers.
I mean, that just looks like heaven to me also, man. Definitely, of course, I couldn't even imagine something like that in Malaysia because of the heat, just sitting out there during the day in 32 degree humid weather, man, the produce would go like bad quite quickly. But tell me again, if you have a preference, do you commonly use these sort of artisan farmers markets and things like that? How does the price compare in places like this compared to the supermarkets? Would you split your time between both or have a preference?
A way to support smaller farmers, and also it's a nice day out with family and friends. So yeah, check them out. Other grocery stores that you can go to are convenience stores such as 7-Elevens. For example, if you run out of milk and a 7-Eleven is your closest store, you can go there and grab that meal. They're mainly good for emergencies or if you want something very quick to eat, but I wouldn't recommend going to 7-Elevens or convenience stores just for your weekly grocery shopping because they're much more expensive than supermarkets. The second question that people always ask me is Australia expensive? And my answer is, it depends. Why do I say it depends? Because your opinion on whether food in Australia is expensive depends on the country you're coming from. I know that there are many countries where basic staples and vegetables are very, very cheap. So if you're coming from one of those countries, Australia will probably seem a bit expensive. Bear in mind, however, that salaries here in Australia are really good, so you will be able to afford your groceries and cover your basic costs. This leads me to the third question that people are always asking me. How much will I be spending on food per week or per month? Look, according to government data, the average Australian household spends between $100 and $200 on groceries per week.
Tell me if that's fair. Do you fall within that category? Do you think that's cheap, expensive?
It's with a pinch of salt though, because at the end of the day we all have different tastes, different lifestyles, and we all buy different products. Also bear in mind that the price of products can be a bit different depending on the state or even city you live in. So here is my tip. The best way to know how much money you will be spending on your weekly grocery shopping is to calculate these costs yourself. How? Internet.
Oh my God.
You can jump online to one of the supermarket's websites that I just mentioned and build your own shopping cart. How do you do that? Let me show you. So if you want to build your own shopping cart, you type in Woolworths Supermarket Australia, you click on Woolworths. You're going to search your product, for example, oat milk, and you can add to cart. All right, so you've added it to the cart. Then if you eat tomatoes, you can search for tomatoes, and here tomatoes will pop up. These ones are 49 cents each.
Yeah, tell me what you think about the prices here.
Choose a quantity, so I want 4. That's good. So view cart, now it's updated. And it doesn't have to be only food. You can put toilet paper, and now you have the price of toilet paper. And you add it to your cart. So now your cart is $16. So think about your expenses and the products that you like to consume in your country and see if you can use the same shopping list that you use when you are at home, and this way you can calculate how much.
That's actually a good set. I haven't actually seen it. I don't even know if supermarkets here have that. A lot of the supermarkets are not so big. The only kind of big brand that we have here is Tesco. I think it's now called something else, but I don't really imagine most supermarkets here have this sort of service where you can go and check the prices online and things like that. I think that's actually a really good thing. Tell me if you use that, if you even use it for different supermarkets to compare prices and so on.
You will need. It's that easy. So as you can see here, you have an amazing tool to know how much money you will be spending, how much are groceries in Australia. You can build your own cart. Yeah, this is an amazing tool, so I highly recommend using it. Also, I check the prices at the physical store to make sure that the prices that are given online are accurate. And here I took a photo of the oat milk at the physical store, and as you can see, it's exactly the same price as the one online. So again, the prices are pretty accurate, so we'll give you a really good idea. And if you think that these prices are a bit too much or too expensive, remember that when you're here, you're going to have a salary, most likely you're going to be working, and you're going to be able to afford all your basic costs and your food, and you're not going to have any issues with that. However, if you're really struggling to afford food for whatever reason when you're here in Australia, I have a tip for you. The Australian government offers food assistance programs where you can access free meals and food all across the country. These are programs especially targeted at international students who might be struggling for whatever reason. For example, during the pandemic. I'll leave you the link below. These food assistance programs are called food banks, and they are very useful, and they have been very, very useful during the pandemic and during this very tough times for everyone. Okay.
That's interesting because I actually was just reading about a similar situation that's caused quite a stir in Canada where international students have been using food banks, and it was seen in more of a negative light. I actually seen it more of a negative thing, that food banks are generally, to my knowledge, was more for people who were unemployed, for families with children who couldn't afford to feed themselves and that sort of thing, not for students. But she's talking about it more in a like, that is more for students. But tell me what you think about that one as well. Is that something that students commonly use in Australia?
So this is all for now.
So that's all for today.
I hope these tips help you to...
Yeah, tell me what you think about that. Woolworths looks like a really decent supermarket to me. Cost of living, I guess there's different tools there to help people get by and help them out and that sort of thing as well. So, but I guess it doesn't change the fact that a lot of supermarkets are increasing their prices quite a lot over the last couple of years, and things like shrinkflation, where these like products or the companies who produce them are like actually reducing the quantities of things, so you're actually not getting as much product for the price you pay and stuff. So it's definitely a tough time for people everywhere. Tell me if you're feeling it, as I mentioned. Tell me what you think about this video. Tell me more about Woolies, and tell me how Woolies compares to Coles. Thanks.